I don't think there's a lot of clarity around these AI projects. And where I get that from is there's a statistic from last year, the end of last year, out of MIT that says 90% of all AI proof of concepts fail. And they give some really good reasons on why they fail. But a lot of it has to deal with the underlying organization. Like, where does all your data live? Is your data even really accessible by humans, let alone AI?
Mm.
What are you giving it to make these decisions? Do you even have your processes well defined? The truth is, if you walk into a room of 20 people and they're all doing it slightly different, you can't have AI fix that. You need to have that process defined on how things are working and clarity on what that is, and then introduce something to automate that or to help with that decision making process or to help with that workflow. But if everybody is doing something slightly different, why are they all doing something slightly different? Which way is the best way at that point? How do
Right.
you determine that? And if you as a company can't answer some of that, you're probably not ready to try and introduce AI into that environment.
Right. I mean, let's face it, like with any system, junk in, junk out. I talk to so many business owners that or business leaders that they're looking at this as, oh, this is a silver bullet. Oh, it's going to do all this. No, it's if you don't have solid processes down, to your point, John, if you don't invest your time into building something the proper way with human first connection and understanding what can go right and what can go wrong with that, you're going to exponentially make things better or worse.
I just thought of something else too. A lot of people experience this with AI. May not have the proper training, or they may not have trained the system. So on both sides of the fence, the AI may not have been properly trained or have the right knowledge.
Yeah.
But sometimes the human doesn't have the right knowledge about AI or how to use it. And I do find some companies where they've introduced a bunch of AI bots or something like that, and people don't know when to use which one for why and stuff of that nature.
Mm.
That's its own problem. But the other problem that I see is, okay, because they're using it wrong or it wasn't set up right or the prompting isn't right or whatever, some of the other reasons you said is now I've got this AI that's doing stuff, but it doesn't do it exactly how I want it. So now I have to spend this time correcting it and going back and correcting it and then going back and correcting it. And that just, I think that's a big problem too that causes burnout is like you said with the silver bullet. It's not a silver bullet. You do need to go through iterations of it to get those types of things out of your processes. But if your employees are facing that problem where you bought some AI tools and did not really set them up right and did not really train your staff right, a lot of the problems may not be, yes, and probably be increased, but it also could be decreased or negatively affected by, yeah, maybe the AI did this faster, but now I'm spending 20 minutes cleaning it up and it's just really annoying. And I think that would cause burnout as well.
Yeah, so you kind of alluded to a point about the ever changing environment. There's a constant learning curve there because the engines are changing, the where they're plugged into and the applications are changing constantly. And then there's the overarching fear of job insecurity for a lot of people in the workforce. So again, that human first approach of reassuring people, look, AI is not here to replace you. You hear about that in the news a lot because
Hmm.
in the news, they're just trying to get viewership, clickbait, what have you. But that is what permeates our culture right now is this fear of I'm going to lose my job to AI. Well, that's up to leadership to allay those fears. And it doesn't help that 96% of C-suite leaders expect AI to improve productivity, but 77% of employees report that AI has actually increased their workload. So until this gap or problem gets addressed, we're going to see more and more of our employees experiencing AI burnout and just burnout in general. If you're burning the
Yeah.
candle at both ends when always on culture, that's going to burn you out.
No,
So
I
setting
agree.
boundaries is really important. I tell my team all the time, I feel it's really important to maintain a work-life balance. I'm not always the best example of that, but it's something I think that needs to be expressed and needs to be followed up on. We incent our clients financially to not want us to work after hours, and that works out pretty well for us.
Yeah, after hours charges, holiday charges, definitely.
That's right.
What I was going to say is Microsoft has a good way of defining this. I was at a conference last year sometime, and it's also in some of their marketing, but they believe that everybody, where they got the name Copilot from, yes, they've copyrighted it, but Copilot was a term before that. If you think about flying and stuff, they believe every person should have an assistant, aka a co-pilot, and then every process or every department should have an agent that's
Mhm.
working those processes. And that's how they see it going. Now, does that mean it's replacing the humans? No, you should be working alongside them. And that's kind of Microsoft has pretty good content on that that you can find out there that
They
would be
do.
interesting for most business users or most business leaders to try and understand what Microsoft is trying to tell them and the way that you should use these things.
They really do. In my certification training at the Microsoft campus in LA, that was what they were hitting on the most. And this was a couple years ago. And that is exactly spot on. It's because Copilot, the paid version, has access to whatever data lives in your Microsoft application ecosystem, it can that you have access to. But it's vitally important to get the security right. It's vitally important to understand what the capabilities are, and from a leadership perspective, set out expectations for what this technology or what this tool is going to do for the organization. And again, focusing on the human aspects of oversight, of training, of validation, and whatnot.